I'm really proud to be able to represent the school today to tell you a little bit about the kind of exciting work we're doing here and also how you can help us to continue this work, particularly in the current situation. Our school has a long-standing reputation in learning and understanding and researching the basic processes that help us understand the mechanisms that underpin health and disease. We are home to a diverse panel of international scientists that not only study the very detailed molecular mechanisms, but also how that affects how cells behave and ultimately whole organisms. And it's that combination of expertise that really allows us to exploit this learning to apply to disease and how we can combat that. We also train the future generations of scientists, which is another really important part to contribute to the future. And we use our research to help give them the tools to solve the problems the world is being faced with. So early this year in January, some of our scientists already began to realize that COVID was likely going to be a problem, and they turned their attention to understanding how the virus works, how we can stop it in its tracks, and how we can combat this disease. In addition, some of our researchers have been able to expand the work they were already doing to include COVID-19 work in the projects that were already ongoing. One thing that's really important to remember, though, is that none of us work in isolation. So we work together within these different buildings, but also with scientists and others across the nation and the world. And that's a really important feature of how we work here. As I mentioned earlier, we have a really diverse group of scientists and clinicians here in Dundee, and I'll just mention 3 examples pertaining to the COVID virus. We have a drug discovery unit where we are now working almost like a pharmaceutical company to try to develop new treatments for COVID-19. We also are using our proteomics facility to understand what are the signatures in the immune systems that are different between patients that really succumb to the disease very severely and those that are not. So we can understand these differences and develop signatures that we might be able to use to stratify patients to identify those which need more treatment. And lastly, our medical research unit is working with scientists in Glasgow to develop biological tools to detect and combat the virus. The funding for our COVID-19 works comes from various different sources, most notably the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Wellcome Trust, and also the Chief Scientist Office in Scotland. Research is normally funded through grant awards from Research Council, charities, and many other organizations. And even though these are quite generous, they tend to be more restricted and more inflexible, plus they take quite a bit of time from an inception of an idea to the execution and obtaining results. Charitable funding can be much more flexible and much more responsive in this context, and that's particularly important in the current situations where things are moving incredibly rapidly and we need to be able to respond to new findings, to apply to COVID-19 and deliver creative and new solutions to the questions that are arising. Your donations can help us to use the expertise we have here to apply it to this incredibly important societal and scientific problem to make a difference. And I thank you for your contribution.